Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my co-host, F.
Yes, F. Just call me F. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
This could stand for a lot of things, though.
Just M, Q, so many things.
S, Q, E.
Nope, don't.
Nothing? No.
But definitely stand for
What are
Frank.
the rest, though? What are, like, everybody's got a letter. I want to talk about this later. I want to know what you're drinking first.
I am drinking a delicious pumpkin
Don't you
beer.
just mean pee?
No.
No.
Nope.
You're not
That, I would not say I'm
No.
drinking pee. Definitely not say that. Drinking pumpkin beer from
Didn't think that
Harpoon
through.
Brewery. H. For Harpoon.
H for Harpoon. Well, I'm drinking the same thing.
Ah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's pumpkin-y. It's not PE, though. It's just pumpkin-y.
No, I should certainly hope not.
No, indeed. So, I want to go back to this. So, you're F,
Yeah.
and there's an M and a Q,
Mm-hmm.
but that's it.
As far
I guess
as
there's
you know.
an R, right? John Cleese was R.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but I don't count that. He's just
Yeah.
John Cleese.
It's John Cleese.
Yeah. Unless he's a knight that says knee, he's just John Cleese. Yeah. Or rude Frenchman. I
Yes.
fought in your general direction. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. Are you excited for Spectre?
Yes.
Okay.
If I could see it. But specters tend to, kind of float in and out, and so you need some kind of like special device.
You're the worst. You're the worst.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, as of recording this podcast, we have not yet seen Spectre. By the time it comes out, we may have. It depends, but depends on some timing of some things. But hopefully, Spectre will be.
I don't know dates
in our near future. It's I think it's the first weekend of November.
It is the first week. It comes out this. I know it comes out the 6th.
Like I said, by the time you're hearing this might be the day it's coming out.
Yeah. Well, we release on Fridays. The Spectre's coming out on that
on Friday. So yeah,
that makes the most sense.
Some of you may have seen
but
it.
if you don't listen to Friday or Saturday or
who knows? Whatever.
Of course, you wouldn't be able to listen until Friday. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Nope.
You
should
take
really
over.
stop. You should really stop.
Stop talking. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Just word vomiting all over the place. So, let's talk real quick. We did an episode, our 7th episode, 007.
Yep.
Was
so clever.
Like very clever. Was about Bond, and we kind of talked about all Bond, who our favorite Bonds are.
Mm-hmm.
And I would really like to talk today about the Daniel Craig era.
Okay.
The state of the Craig.
Okay.
If you will.
The DC.
Yes, DC, Daniel Craig.
Yeah, the big D.
Yeah. Okay. No. That's not. No. You don't want to say you want the D. You don't want to say that.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I just said the big. Don't put words or D's in my mouth. All right.
You don't want to say big D.
All right.
Don't put big D's in my mouth. We are children.
Yeah, maybe not.
I like how literally you said don't put the D in my mouth, and you like loosened your tie.
It's hot in here.
Oh, did it just get warm in here?
Hot. It's fall, and it's like 90 degrees, and you're home. There's no reason for this. All right, not that really loosening the tie does anything. It does if you're James Bond and you want to look cool, though, which I'm not, nor am I. So,
yeah, it's okay.
So let's talk about Daniel Craig.
Okay, let's talk about Daniel Craig. So DC.
There are four films under him right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Casino Royale,
Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and now Spectre.
You have a twin Spectre.
I can't see her either. I need a special machine.
Yeah, so Spectre is the latest one, but I would like to talk about the first three in particular.
Okay. I could talk about Skyfall a lot.
Because you recently watched it, didn't you?
Yes, I did, just because I was in the mood seas.
Good mood.
I haven't seen Quantum of Solace. I didn't see it in theaters because I heard it was terrible.
Yeah.
And then so I saw it kind of like, I guess I'll watch this kind of thing.
Okay.
And Casino Royale, I've seen a bunch, so I could definitely still talk about it. But
So Casino Royale, I've seen a bunch, starting in the theaters. I saw all three of them in theaters. I saw Quantum of Solace in the theater, did not love it, didn't watch it again. Although
it's not
now,
a terrible
it's not.
movie.
I think I would have enjoyed it more.
It's got writer's strike problems because it came out. It came out in the middle of that writer's strike. So they kind of they had to go with what they had if they wanted the movie to be made, and so it just suffers from it needed a few more drafts. That's really what the.
But wait. Now I think about it. Does that apply? Because it's a British film, and that was the Writers Guild of America.
Yeah,
that went on strike. So
no,
I wonder.
It's not a British film. It has British people in it. Those are two different things.
No, I think it's a British film.
Quantum of Solace is made by
Britain.
MGM.
Well, it's distributed by MGM in the U.S.
No,
I'm pretty sure these are British films. I'm going to use my one lookup for this.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm pretty sure that the production company, like the Broccoli Company,
right,
is a British production company. Ergo, it was made in Britain by a British company with British people.
Yeah, but British movies are all about people just like walking through doors and be like, "Oh,
okay." It all depends on whether the writer was a Writers Guild of America member or not. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah,
right?
okay, yeah.
So,
okay,
if it was a British writer who's not in the WGA,
but he could be or she could be a British writer in the WGA.
Correct.
Wow, this got really technical
yeah,
really
it did.
fast.
So let's
I'm gonna
move on. I'm
going to talk about Daniel Craig and how I see him as Bond.
So tell me about
this up.
Yes.
So it's a warm summer's eve, and I'm staring at Daniel Craig going, wow, that's a man. And I remember when he was cast, and people were all like, James Bond doesn't have elf ears, and James Bond isn't blonde. And then Casino Royale came out, and everyone was like, well, I sat on a turtle. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, that movie was amazing with all its parkour. So much,
yes, it did have the parkour.
So much parkour. Because James Bond does a really good job at taking what's popular at the time and then making a movie about it.
Yes, that's true.
And so Casino Royale is a perfect example of that. Parkour was popular, gritty reboots were popular, and Texas Hold'em was popular.
Mm-hmm.
And thus is born Casino Royale. And then Skyfall is another example of that, in which you have, The Dark Knight was very popular.
Yep.
And so it's like the villain with pathos and James Bond with problems, and, the grittiness is still there, and, it feels real even though it's not. And so, but like we're searching for nostalgia at the same time.
Very much so.
And that's what Skyfall is in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they do it. All James Bond films do a really good job at hitting at the times, but they instantly feel dated.
Yeah.
Afterwards, because like now you go back and maybe watch Skyfall, and you're like, well, he's playing Casino Royale. That's not. I mean, he's not. He's playing Texas Hold'em. Maybe that's not as timeless.
Yes, that was very popular at the time.
Yes,
in 2006,
very popular. I'm going to argue that maybe parkour is still popular enough that you watch that, and it's because it's one, the guy at the beginning of the film when they're in, I think it's Africa. Stop touching your ear.
Yes, yes,
and all that. And it's an interesting dynamic between the two, because I think the guy running is one of the creators of parkour. Like they got it.
John Parkour.
Yes, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Parkour. Yeah. And so I hope that's his name. I'm not going to use a look up for it though, because I know it's not. And I'm just going to be
totally making it up.
disappointed. I'm just going to get disappointed about life. And so. But this idea of like he's jumping and running and all these things, and Bond is such an animal that he just he just smashes through stuff.
Right.
But Daniel Craig is the most physical Bond.
Yes, agreed.
Because
he's the most cut.
Especially also popular.
True.
Action heroes
True.
at the time, because that really wasn't a thing until the 2000s.
You're right.
But I was maybe Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man might be one of the first things to really kick that off, that he was really like he had
like very
really
totally ripped.
Yeah, totally ripped, because he like zero fat, all muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really, and then Hugh Jackman coming in as Wolverine in the second one, because he was really more bigger and ripped for that movie.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. But I mean, if you go back and look at Sean Connery, it's just a lot of.
Yes.
He's walking
He's
down
very
a,
sly and
he's,
suave
But he's just
and-
walking down a hallway.
Yes.
He's like, I'm going to do spy things. And he's walking down a hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that pretty much persists all the way up into Pierce Brosnan. No, that's not true.
Well,
no, I'm going to say Timothy Dalton,
Timothy Dalton.
was actiony. And of course, it's the style of movies at the time. Like,
yes, it's totally this like
action movies
shifting
in the
time
60s, 70s didn't really become like hardcore action movies till
Right.
the 80s
Right.
with Die Hard.
Mhm.
And then, which is not a Bond movie, just FYI if anybody's getting confused.
Yeah,
And then Pierce Brosnan kind of had this blend of the two, but now it's all about wire work and those types of things. And so,
and it's about computer hackers and it's that kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
it's the things. Yes, it definitely always shifts.
Yeah.
So the bring back to the Craig films.
Yeah.
There. Yes, there's a Texas Hold'em. There's the very cut action hero, very ripped guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about him now is that he is very physical and does all these crazy stunts and everything. But he can still get into a tux and beat anybody at poker. He's still.
Well, they make mention in Casino Royale that he is the best card player.
Yes.
That the service
and
has.
that's why they picked him for this mission.
That's right.
Right.
Well, Casino Royale is the only Daniel Craig movie that we've seen so far where he's like doing a mission just because it's a mission.
It's true. And
all
I'm
the
like
other ones
ready
are
for that to be back.
just like do a mission.
Mhm.
Like, and I mean, we have seen him do like, well, Quantum of Solace picks up almost immediately
Yes.
after.
Yes,
and that just
mhm.
moves forward. So that's all personal.
Yep.
Ish.
By the way, just since you mentioned Quantum of Solace, so it Eon Productions is a British production company.
Okay.
So they are British films, but the writer is a member of the WGA, and he finished the script 2 hours before the strike began.
Oh.
So once he finished the script, that was it.
Well, they still are.
So you were right about like they didn't have like more drafts to do and everything. Because,
that's right, because usually those movies, even like the script might be complete, but the writer is still there to write new scenes,
Yeah,
to
there's
adjust
still
and whatever else.
they're
And
still tweaking.
That's what that movie is missing. It's
Yes, I
missing
agree.
those tweaks.
Yeah,
and so
the strike lasted 100 days, which is like the time that it takes.
basically the filming of that movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's typical action movie ish.
Mhm.
Film. So
Mhm.
it's a short movie too. Quantum of Solace is not a
It
long,
is, isn't
long
it?
movie,
Yeah.
but it feels like it takes forever.
It's not very good.
I know. So, and that one, but then we go into Skyfall, which
Yes.
is a personal maybe more on the M side of things. But
Yep,
it's like
true.
he goes rogue, and he's like, I'd rather just be dead. You know,
Mhm.
like I'm just gonna be, taking shots with scorpions on my hands or
Right.
whatever.
But there is a mission at the very beginning, right? We do see a mission like they do the
Yes,
whole
yeah.
the typical Bond like in media res thing where it
Yeah.
starts at the end, like at the end of
It's a cold open.
at the
Yeah.
end of a mission. You see the end of like a good action serial. You see the end of the previous adventure before we get to the
Right.
conflict of this episode.
Exactly. And so, but the way that Skyfall ends with Judi Dench dead
Mm-hmm.
and Ralph Fiennes is the new M,
Which
and,
I love.
it's like, are you ready to get back to work? And, it's like, with pleasure, with pleasure. And that, you would think has now set us up for James Bond just doing a bunch of missions.
I sure hope so, but the trailer doesn't look that
The trailer
way.
is like, I have been there since the beginning.
I'm the author of your pain.
Yeah, I'm the author of your pain. Your Christoph Waltz is pretty good. Do that again.
I am the author of your pain.
That's pretty good. That's
Well, because he's not
do it again.
He's
do it
not
again.
doing a typical Christoph Waltz in this movie. It's not his usual accent, or at least from what little I heard in the trailer. It seems like it's a little exaggerated or it's a little bit different than his usual. Not my usual, but nice.
Not my usual, but nice. I have not paid that close attention to his accent. I'll have to go back and check. But this movie is like, it is absolutely personal. But
This time it's personal.
But also the trend of action movies at the time. Like,
True.
Die Hard is not a personal movie. You know what I mean?
No.
Or any action movies really before that.
Right. So you're right. This is very much like the Batman movies, like
Yeah, or
So-
even Avengers, like it's like all those movies are
and
like
Taken and like all these.
they're personal. You know, they're all out. They have a vendetta of some kind against
The motivation
some
of the
bigger
character is a personal one. It's not just
Yeah.
like, oh, he's a good
I'm
guy.
here
He's there to
do
save the
my
world.
job, right?
It's like, my daughter and
Or my daughter, or I
will
created
find
this
you
bad
and
guy, or I'm going to save my company, or
Mhm.
my name is Inigo Montoya. You kill my father. Prepare to die.
honestly,
like
in
whatever.
In a lot of
personal.
ways, James Bond is Jack Bauer right now.
Oh, that's an excellent point. If I'd ever seen one episode of 24,
Yeah, no, it's actually in a lot of ways because he can do all things. Yeah, he
can stop all the bombs in 24
Yeah,
hours.
right. Like he can. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, he's kind of Jack Bauer.
That's very interesting. Now, let's go back to Casino. We're just hopping all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but just like James Bond hops all over the world.
Bond hopping with Tim and Frank.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hops. So
glug glug
glug. Let's go back to Casino Royale and Ava Green. Because the only time we get anything personal with James Bond before Daniel Craig, well, not any time, but like the most personal we get is with George Lazenby.
Yeah.
And like the death of his wife,
On Her
and,
Majesty's Secret Service.
Right, exactly. And so you want to talk about a slow movie? Yeah. So that's really one of the only personal James Bond movies. Yep. The other one that only crops up to mind is GoldenEye, but even that has to do with even that really has to do with it just happens to be part of the mission as opposed to anything like it's a shock when it happens. You know what I mean? That movie's great. Talk about actually that has super 90s pace. Like
very much so.
Very 90s. But I completely lost my Ava Green. So this is
my future wife.
Right, this gritty. It's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
That's fine.
And gritty reboot. Need the pathos and whatever. And so there's basically like giving him a reason to be a womanizer and to wear the tux and to do all these things. Like she forms him into the James Bond that we maybe know, and we're still kind of watching the formation of that James Bond.
Yes, because it is a soft reboot where it's like soft reboot or actual reboot. I mean, I think it's not. It's his origin story.
I think every Bond is a soft reboot, except for Daniel Craig, which I would call maybe a more harder reboot because he's not part of the Cold War deal anymore.
Right
after Daniel Craig is the first non-Cold War
that's true.
era Bond.
I guess the question is did all the movies we've seen happen? Did those stories happen in this universe? Right?
No, they did not.
So
because he's not a 00 until Casino Royale.
At the beginning of Casino Royale.
Right.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying did they happen before this movie. I'm saying did they happen in this universe. So is this like the sort of prequel, even though obviously this is 2006 and like Dr. No is 1962 or 1960, whatever it is. Like 62. Do you know what I mean? Like, are we supposed to pretend believe? No, it's either two. I think it's two. Are we supposed to pretend to believe that this somehow happened before, even though there's different technology and all that stuff?
No, I don't think so because he doesn't the whole going back to George Lazenby, like the death of his wife thing.
Doesn't really carry over.
Doesn't really carry over if you count Casino Royale.
But he does
in that mixture.
say this never happened to the other fellow.
What? Who says that?
George Lazenby.
In the
that's a very famous line from the movie. He says like this never happened to the other fellow or other guy. Basically making like to camera, like breaking the fourth wall, basically making a joke about how like, remember Sean Connery? This never happened to him.
Well, that goes into that fan theory that James Bond is the secret agent's name that's given to you.
It's the alias.
Yeah, one 007 dies, another takes his place as James Bond. I would really love to see that movie.
Max Landis has a great pitch.
Oh, it's so good. I want to see it somewhere, somehow. I would comic form, audio book, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I would love to see that. Yeah, it's this idea. He pitched this idea. It was on the Nerdist podcast a while back, but find the Max Landis episode. He pitched this idea of like Daniel Craig gets like kidnapped, and when they put the black bag over his head, they knock him out, and when he comes to, they take the bag off his head, and it's like Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan like standing over him, and they're like, "We have to tell you something," and it's like the most epic idea I've ever heard. Where it's just
like the bad guy is Sean
Connery,
and
Roger Moore.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the ideas.
Yeah,
it's such a great idea.
It's a great idea. Like the older James Bonds have gone rogue, and and it's funny because it's agents going rogue from MI6 is not GoldenEye, Skyfall,
yeah,
those are all agents have gone rogue for their own nefarious purposes, and so. But the idea of this James Bond carries on, but that does negate the whole reboot quality, which was popular.
Yes, it was.
These movies came out. 2000 was Casino Royale 2006. Yeah,
that's one of the things. Yes, exactly. Because
2008 was the writer's strike. Right. Yeah.
You're right that this is a very popular idea because it makes it very easy to just watch Casino Royale.
Yeah,
and be caught up. It 2006. That was it. Like you can just see this movie and not have to have seen the 20 that came before it.
I don't think you have to see any James Bond movie.
I agree, but this is an origin story, so it's especially easy to catch on. Superhero origin stories were big in 2006 too. You know what I mean?
So true, but it's funny because they were. But I think that you could watch any James Bond movie before Daniel Craig and be like, "That's James Bond, got it."
Yep.
But Daniel Craig movies, because it's personal, almost every time you have to kind of see all of them.
Yeah, you didn't have the same thing before Casino Royale, but since Casino Royale, you could skip Quantum of Solace.
You could skip Quantum of Solace, maybe, but depending on what Spectre is, because he's like, I have been there since the beginning.
Author of Your Pain,
the Author of Your Pain.
So does that mean he was there to?
So the way that sounds is that this is speculation at this point, but it sounds like Spectre is the overarching umbrella corporation that has stuff like Quantum in it. And all of these other organizations that he's had to deal with all come back under the Spectre banner, which is like the 8-pronged, ghost or whatever.
Right.
That's that's
cut off the head and 2 more will reappear. Wait, what?
Yeah, no, what? No, you can't cut off. You can't cut off the head of a ghost. It's a Spectre.
You know what that was?
Yeah, I know. I'm just making another ghost reference.
Hail Hydra.
I just saw Crimson Peak. Like you gotta get like there's ghosts and stuff in it. Hail Hydra. Man, if some terrorist organization takes the name Hydra, I'm just going to be so mad. It's like, get your own. Yeah. Don't.
Branding.
Yeah.
Copyright.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, so yeah, there is this whole thing with the Craig films of destiny, right?
Yeah.
Of like he was always destined to be a 00 and all this.
I do recall him going to see the Oracle at one point.
Yep. Yeah, even in the wheelchair. Yeah, there is a lot of like that whole this.
Yeah,
this
that
was
you are destined to do this, and like you will be the greatest among them.
Yes,
blah blah blah. That whole thing.
I don't love that.
No,
he's
just a dude doing his job,
right?
And he's good at it.
He's a good spy. He's a very good spy, but
a really crappy spy.
He's a good fighter.
Yeah, right.
He's a good poker player.
He does nothing secretly. Yeah,
good at defibbing himself.
Right, like that's not how they work. That's not how they. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever. There are also no vents to escape in elevators in the real world.
Yeah.
So whatever. There should be though.
Let's bring in Johnny Parkour to talk about how that was really.
Johnny Parkour. How do you escape from one elevator? I just run around the walls. Yeah.
That's the Flash.
As the Flash.
Yeah.
Going back to Casino.
Yes.
Royale.
Yes.
You have, apart from this love interest, you also have the introduction of Felix, his American compatriot,
his inept American.
Yeah,
he's always inept.
Would you call him inept?
Yes, I would. He's always terrible at his job. He's always just like, I'm here and I'm American. Like every incarnation of that character, he's just bad at his job.
I guess so.
Which I think is just supposed to be a reflection of like
the CIA.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to be like, the
Brits poking fun at the Americans.
Yeah, feeling superior.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, think about it. We make the British villains in all our movies, so it's only fair that our American spy is terrible at his job in a British movie.
And everyone is always. It's funny with that because everyone is always like, oh, it's like the universal accent. You all just understand. I'm like, yes, because of the revolution.
Yes.
The founding of our country and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why they're always the villains.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's in your blood. Yeah. It's in your blood to partially hate the British.
Pretty much.
Which it's not. But it's funny because American culture now is like, oh, I want a British accent. I want to be with a British person. Like that.
Everybody's in love with
Everybody's in love with the
British accent,
the
British
British
culture.
accent, British culture,
Yeah.
all of it. And so maybe that's why James Bond is even like maybe that's why James Bond is more popular than Mission Impossible because Mission Impossible they are the same type of film essentially, except one is of the the IMF is mostly American, American citizens versus MI6,
right?
And so, who would win in a fight, Ethan Hunt or James Bond?
I mean, Tom Cruise
Does all of his own stunts.
Yeah, even that
strapped himself to a plane like 3 times.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna
Did
say
you
James
see that
Bond.
film?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I'll see it eventually. I'll see it on TV or
Yeah.
on Netflix or whatever.
Yeah, just like I'll eventually watch Back to the Future too. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I am gonna give it to James Bond.
Yeah,
James Bond
I'd give
because...
it. No, would you give it to? I'd give it to Daniel Craig. I don't know if I'd give it to Roger Moore or George Lazenby.
I don't give anything to George Lazenby, and I don't give very much to Roger Moore. I don't like Roger Moore's movies very much at all, actually. I'm not a big fan of those Bond films.
There was of the era.
Of the time. But looking back on it, they have not aged well, in my opinion. I just don't really enjoy them very much.
Christopher Walken's a bad guy in one of them, though.
I know.
As is Christopher Lee. He just fights a lot of Christophers.
Yes.
Yeah. Fights Christopher Columbus
he
in
fights
one
Jaws.
film. Yeah.
I mean, he fights a shark.
With repellent bat spray?
Named Jaws. With great teeth.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I really thought the shark when you said that. I went right for the shark.
When I hear the reference Jaws, like I think the shark every time, but there are some people who think of the Bond villain first.
Which makes sense. I mean,
I guess
it depends if you're a bigger James Bond film.
But who
fan
had a
than
movie
fans.
named after him?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Daniel Craig's era. So we have updating of other things. You know, Judi Dench is the only mainstay. She stayed all the way through.
Another thing that made me think, like, oh, this is sort of the same continuity, but not.
Why would you get rid of her? She's so good.
Yeah. But there can be said for lots of film franchises where I feel like there was supposed to be something of a through line.
Well, if you go back to the 90s, if you the Batman and Batman Returns, and then then it was you have Batman Forever.
Yep.
Apparently, it was supposed to be a soft reboot. And the only thing and the mainstays are Pat Hingle and Michael Goff. For Alfred and Commissioner Gordon, but those are the only two.
Mm-hmm. But those are, I think, supposed to be the same.
No, I did read they're supposed to be soft reboots, like before, like so soft you didn't even care or notice.
But see, I reject that. I mean, like maybe that's the idea, but in practice, like watching the movie, it's definitely not. It doesn't come off that way.
It doesn't matter, right?
But like, how about this? How about Desmond?
Like James Bond, yeah.
Desmond Llewellyn was Q for like every Bond,
pretty much every Bond from the inception of Q, right?
Yeah,
which is 2 or 3 movies in already.
Yeah, only a couple
like
in.
That. Yeah.
So like he was the same. He was the same guy playing Q until
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day
because he died.
Another day.
Not
the day they shot
Not the
it.
day came out. No.
Yeah. So like we're terrible. But you know what I mean? Again, like continuity there of like, okay, this is supposed to be the same story,
right? But and thus leading you to this is absolutely a hard reboot with Daniel Craig because
except that it's not because
Ben Winshaw.
M is the same because M is the same. So like there is some continuity
Q
there.
isn't.
Okay, all I'm saying is there is clearly some.
He's never met Q,
the original Q.
He had never met any Q,
right?
Until
right
that one.
I'm saying I think they are playing some timeline and memory kung fu. Where it's supposed to be the same timeline, but we're going to just conveniently forget things when it's inconvenient for it to be the same timeline. That has kind of been the way I've approached it and looked at it.
That's why I see it as this is a hard reboot because his age just
to be a real
make sense anymore.
Of course, but neither does it make sense for him to have been in the Cold War and fought the Russians. And
except that the Cold War ended in the 90s, so technically it does.
But it doesn't make sense for him to have been alive in the 60s. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
I'm saying that I think there is some
That's
timeline.
why you hard reboot it with Daniel Craig with Casino Royale.
You can't even use the words hard reboot if there are any of the same actors playing the same characters. That's not a hard reboot.
Is it?
It's a medium reboot at best.
Okay, so we could call it a medium to hard reboot, but it's not a mushy reboot, and it's not a soft reboot, and because soft reboot just means that like we're taking it in a new direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's confusing. This was company like we're resetting everything. Yeah,
but like, does it? What makes you feel better? That it connects or that it's totally new?
I don't have an opinion on the matter. I just I don't feel better or worse.
Oh, okay.
I just think that to me it makes more sense to me that this is supposed to be the same story just told out of order, and I don't think they would have any actors crossover from one Bond movie to another Bond movie if there wasn't some connective tissue there.
I guess, but yes, I don't see it that way. Just because,
okay, no, I think I don't know. There's a definitive answer on it.
No,
like,
but
I don't.
Although normally when I get this way, you're always right. So you're just kind of ignoring the fact that I'm angry like this because you're right, and my brain doesn't work the way that it used to since I was hit by that car.
I think that the obvious thing is this. I think that people.
I was going to ignore that.
I was about to ignore it. Not the most ridiculous thing you ever said. I think that most people consider it a reboot, but I think that you are in the majority. I am not going to argue that. I think you are in the absolute majority. But for me, there is something that sort of it doesn't satisfy me.
Okay,
that doesn't satisfy me. I'll leave it at that.
What and I want to play devil's advocate and play on your side one day. The MI6 the MI6 building is the same as it is in the Pierce Brosnan movies,
and it got blown up in Skyfall.
Right, but I'm saying it to give you like a soft reboot.
Oh,
like
I see what you're saying.
This MI6 building is the same.
Yes,
I don't know if that's the real MI6 building.
I don't know.
Maybe that's why it's the same.
Maybe.
If there was only something in this world that would allow me to check.
I already used my one lookup, so I don't know. We are out of time.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to use it.
So, people, you tell us what you think. Is Casino Royale, are the Daniel Craig films a complete hard reboot? Are they a medium to hard reboot? Are they a soft reboot? Is it the same continuity completely?
Or D, none of the above. Or D.
Big D, none of the above. Let us know what you think. At Beer with Geeks on Twitter, beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. Tell us that. If you like the show, please, recommend us on Overcast. Swipe to the right and hit that little star button.
To the right.
If it's to the right. Or leave us a rating on iTunes. 5-star rating goes a long, long way for us. So please do that. Or just leave us a review. Just say like, hey, these guys are awesome. 5 stars. Any of those things would be awesome. BeerKeys.com. Check us out on the interwebs. We love you. Thank you so much for all that you do. Until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Shaken, not stirred.